This is the brand new Hobbywing 10BL120 G2, the brand new version of this ESC, and this has the opportunity to be very huge for the RC drift market. What we're going to be doing today is getting it into my Red Cat RDS, my standard drift car. We're going to be putting it in there temporarily to give it a test, look through the tuning, see how it drives. Does it live up to its potential? That's what we're here to find out. First step, get it out of the box. There it is in the box. Of course, we have the ESC itself. Pretty big footprint. It is not the most compact thing that Hobbywing does make, but that is also par for the course on the budget with it. Has the capacitor already wired in, on-off switch with set button wired in. We have the plug to go to the receiver, and then obviously we're going to have to be doing some soldering over here for the bullet plugs for the battery, but then also to the motor itself. Also in here we get a little bit of double-sided tape to help mount it, along with the switch, along with some heat shrink. And then here is a little guide for if you're going to be tuning it with the LED programming card, the different things that you can set. Stickers, of course, and then the full instruction manual, which is what we will be also digging into. Why should you care about this ESC if you are into the RC drift world? I think there's two major factors. The ESC that a lot of us run in our drift cars is a higher version of a Hobbywing ESC. It's over $200, and this ESC is $50. And one of the key reasons why we never really ran its predecessor ESC is it didn't have turbo and boost. And one of the things that you can see here now is there is some basic turbo and boost timing that are now available with this ESC. It comes with 4 degrees of boost already built in. Turbo is set at 0. But you can get both of those all the way up to 30 degrees, and you can set the turbo delay once you hit full throttle. How soon does it ramp in? You can set all that, and very importantly, you can also set clockwise or counterclockwise motor rotation now. That is also something that was missing before. Now, there'll be a lot of people that point out that, hey, if you go with the more expensive ESC, it also has some drive frequency adjustments. It has a more nuanced, like, steps of turbo and boost and how they kick in, and there's a lot more programming with them. That is right, that is valid, that is true. But for most folks, if this ESC performs well after we put it in my car here, it saves folks $150 versus the top of the line ESCs. And probably does 90+% of what those can do. So that's why this is so important for folks. Let's start figuring out how we're going to put it in the car, get some plugs soldered onto it, that type of thing, so we can give it a test drive. Now, I went ahead and put an XT90 on this. This is a temporary install. I also didn't have any bullets. I kind of ran out of some bullet plugs, so I didn't have any spare ones. So I just threw an XT90 on this now for testing. I'm not going to plan to keep this ESC in this car because I have its big brother in here already. I already have the fancy version, which means I'm going to temporarily mount it up here. All right, that's going to give me plenty of room to run wires back to the motor, to get the sensor wire back to the motor. It's going to be very easy for you to see. I'm going to be able to reach everything from the ESCs and all the different plugs and all that standpoint. So double-sided tape, putting that down. Same thing with the capacitor. I'm probably going to either attach it to the ESC itself or to right here on this top plate. Same thing with the switch. Go ahead and get it mounted. And then we're going to look at, of course, plugging the ESC into the receiver. And then we need to get soldered in all these connections back here. Obviously, I am shortcutting the install a little bit on this, but there are a few things that you would probably want to spend a little bit of time really paying attention to. Wire management. How carefully can you route your wires? Can you hide them? Well, the ESC wires don't need to be this long if the battery's going to be this close. So you can shorten them up as you solder a plug on. Same thing here for the motor wires. They have at least an inch or two there too long compared to what would really be needed. These are the kind of things that you should watch out for and make sure that you're being very tidy with your wiring as you're doing it. Obviously the black and the red are your power wires, red being positive, but the blue, yellow, and orange are actually ABC, and you need to keep them in the appropriate order as you connect them to the motor. My ESC did not come with a sensor wire, so you will need to purchase a sensor wire, and you will need to make sure that it is long enough again to reach to your motor. So I'm going to get to soldering these wires onto the motor and plugging this in so that we can give it a try. I have my really horrible wiring job now done. ESC plugged into channel 2 on the receiver. I have the switch mounted, sensor wires in, the ESC in. We're just going to make sure at first that it fires up. Looks like it fires. Of course, my controller's on, so I still have steering. We're going to just check. We do have some throttle and brake, but now we're going to turn it off. First thing that we need to do is calibrate the throttle of the controller to the ESC. In typical Hobbywing fashion, what we're going to do is hold the set button, turn it on, and wait for it to beep. So what we're going to do is leave the throttle at neutral, hit it once. Then we're going to go to full throttle, hit it again. Then we're going to go to reverse and hit it again. All right, and after it resets there, we should now have throttle calibrated appropriately. Well, except, of course, because I've converted mine to rear motor, means that we need to actually reverse the rotation because it is currently spinning the wheels backwards. So we're going to use our old trusty program card. It's either this or the brand new LCD G2 box, but I don't have the G2 box, and it says that it's not compatible with the OTA. We're also going to be using the handy dandy cheat sheet that it gives us in the box, because it's not going to be the same as the crawler ESC things on here. So this is the ESC wire plugged in here. White is the sensor to the far right, plus and minus, and so now we're going to power it on, and it should recognize it. Okay, and then we're going to confirm as we go through. So right now it has setting number 1 is forward with reverse and brake. That is what we want, so that is good. We're going to go on to item number 2. Item number 2 is the cutoff voltage, and it's currently set at 3 volts per cell. It's pretty low, so we're going to bump that up. I'm actually going to go ahead and bump it all the way to 3.4 volts per cell. We're going to go on to number 3, which is punch. Punch comes in already at level 7. I'm going to leave that there. We'll tune on that some later. Drag brake. The number 4 is drag brake force, and it's at 0. That's fine. I don't like running drag brake. Max brake force is at 75%. It's also fine for now. Max reverse is at 25. Neutral range is at 9%. Boost timing is at 4 degrees. Turbo is currently off. Turbo delay doesn't matter because it's off. BEC voltage is at 6 volts, and we will definitely leave it there so we don't fry any gyros or anything like that. And then lastly, what I'm worried about right now for me is the motor rotation. We're going to take it from counterclockwise to clockwise. Hitting the OK button there, turning it off, we should now be in good shape. Turning everything back on and letting it initialize. That now works appropriately. So this is the baseline tune setup that is in the ESC straight out of the box. We're going to give it a quick test drive like that before we start messing with any turbo, boost, or any other values that are in there. Now, I'm not looking for anything fancy here, just looking to make sure the car moves, the ESC has the right kind of feel to it. The brake was at 75%, and that feels strong enough as I go into that corner. I like to be able to lock up my tires in case I need to stop. Nice and easy. The throttle feels really, really responsive, maybe too responsive, and so I know that punch level was up at 7 out of 9. Probably going to try to reduce that down a little bit. Of course, we're not hearing any turbo yet because that's off. Feels a little lazy because it just doesn't have that like snap of wheel spin. Alright, let's play with some tuning settings. After that first test drive, a few things that I want to mess with here. So let's go down to number 3, which is punch. It is all the way at level 7 out of 10. I think I want to really reduce that down. I'm going to try all the way down at level 3. Drag brake, brake force, reverse force, neutral range, all of that felt really, really good. When I get to number 8, which is boost timing, boost is currently only set at 4 degrees. Typically what I like to run on my motors is about 30 degrees on the cam, plus 30 degrees boost, 30 degrees turbo. I'm going to go to option 4, which is 12% boost at item number 4. When we go into turbo timing, it's currently set at 0. I'm going to take that one up to option number 5, which will be 16 degrees of turbo. So we're going to set OK with that one. On item number 10, turbo delay is at 0.2 seconds. It's not how I usually like it. I like my turbo to be instant. So that is value number 1. So we're going to set that. That should be it. I believe, honestly, with the settings that they give us, that right there is going to be plenty to get us up and feeling really good. All right, let's see what our response is now. So low level throttle, feeling that punch change that we made is a whole lot better. It smooths that throttle input out. So I'm liking that. That already feels a lot better. It's a little too low though, I think. Yeah, I turned that punch down too much. When I really want the car to snap. When I hit full throttle, I want it to give me all of that throttle when I want it. I'm not going to use full throttle very often around the track. It's going to be very rare, in fact. But when I hit it, I usually am using it for a reason. It's because I need a fast transition. I need to jump up behind somebody. I need to do something like that. And right now, with that punch at level 3, when I hit the full throttle, you can just hear it. It just takes it a minute to roll in the power. Yeah, so I'm going to have to turn that back up a little bit. For this, I bumped the punch up a couple notches and added just a little bit more boost. Oh yeah, that's feeling a lot better. That confirms it. That is it. So if you are looking for a budget-oriented drift ESC 10BL120 G2 from Hobbywing, I'll be honest, I think this $50 is better money spent than probably almost any other drift ESC that's out there right now. So a final check on what I changed versus the baseline tune for this and how I think a lot of folks would probably want to do it. Cutoff voltage was at 3 volts per cell. I bumped it to 3.4. You're probably going to want to bump it up a little bit, but that's your call just for battery safety. Punch was initially at level 7. I tried it all the way down at level 3. That was too little. I came back to level 5. Boost timing was at 4 degrees. I bumped it to 16. Turbo was off, and I turned it to 16. And then turbo delay, I moved from 0.2 seconds to instant. So really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the only 5 changes that I made compared to the factory settings in order to get this up and ready for drifting. I still do think that there's a reason why some folks would probably want to still spend like that $200 for the Hobbywing XD10 or the XR10 Pro. But it's really only for like 2 reasons. One, a lot of the tuning that it does have is in a finer increment. So as an example, with my turbo and boost on this, I had to choose from 12 degrees or 16, whereas on those ESCs, you can actually go degree by degree and as you set it up. So you have a little bit finer, more precise control over everything. Second is just the more advanced tuning options that are available in those ESCs. But I'll be honest, that's probably only for those folks who are really wanting to compete and really wanting to tune their drift car to like the 99th percentile, right? Like the ones that are going to worry about every little nuance and detail. Otherwise, I honestly think that for 99% of the people out there that I interact with who are either getting started in drifting or building a second car, or even just the folks that are only messing around in their garage or only going to track for the fun, right, instead of competitions, this ESC at $50 is a much, much better buy. If you're in the situation where spending $150 less on the ESC allows you to buy a better gyro, as an example, that is definitely money better spent. And so if you are curious about getting this ESC, I will have a link for it down in the video description. That is an affiliate link. That means if you buy it with that link, you pay the exact same price. It's actually absolutely no different for you. I get a very small little kickback from a main for everyone that's purchased. So if you buy it from there, I really appreciate it because that helps fund the channel so that I can do videos like this. If you're curious about anything else that I've done RC drift tech related, there's going to be a playlist popping up over here to your right where you can see all of that there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.